This is your evening briefing coming out. Bloomberg articles saying that the Biden administration turns to face the unthinkable. Now, I've got several articles. I'm going to get you caught up as to what's going on with this. As I've let you guys know, we are in the middle of a potential debt ceiling crisis. We could be looking at a default here, and I'm going to give you guys the latest information coming out on this. Now, do me a quick favor, though, before I dive in. Let me know if you can see me and hear me okay as we are live. And before I start reporting the information, I want to just make sure that everybody can get the information and that you can hear me and see me okay. I see that there's about 40 people on live with me right now. Please let me know in the comments if you can see me and hear me. Good. Yes. Okay. Awesome. Great. I'm getting the thumbs up. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe if this is your first time here. I'm going to get you guys the latest information that is coming out from Congress as to what is unfolding with the debt ceiling crisis. As I mentioned, articles are now coming out that say Biden administration turns to face the unthinkable. And also, this is linked in the description below, along with another article that just came out. This is Biden-McCarthy debt ceiling meeting has been postponed, and spending cuts are now on the table. So in my last live, I did a poll to see what people thought was going to be happening. Would President Joe Biden give and allow spending cuts to take place? Would Kevin McCarthy give and allow a debt ceiling increase to pass without spending cuts? Or would they not be able to come to some sort of agreement and we would have a U as a default? Or would they not come to an agreement and President Joe Biden would use the 14th Amendment? Well, what we're hearing is it's sounding like President Joe Biden is starting to give, and he might be open to spending cuts. And I had mentioned this in my last video when we were live. I thought that if somebody was going to be able to take a step back in an effort to try to get it done, it would be President Joe Biden, because out of the two, I feel like he has more to lose in this situation because he does not want to have a default as we enter into an election year, a presidential election year, and he is running his campaign. So we will see. But I'm going to get you caught up on the latest news coming out, you guys. And now I see we've got about 430 people on. Do me a quick favor if you haven't already. Smash the like button for me. If you appreciate the updates, I'll do my best to keep you guys up to speed on everything. Subscribe if this is your first time here. And if you'd like to join, I see that we've got new members joining. Welcome to the Ram fam. I'll make sure that you guys can get access. Any questions that you have, I'll do my best to answer them. And we will also have some more members live streams so that way you guys can get direct access to me if you have any questions. But with that being said, you guys, let's go ahead and dive into these articles and get you caught up as to what is coming out here. And I see people are asking what is unfolding, what is going on. So let's go ahead and get you caught up. Now, this first article is from Bloomberg, and it says, briefing, Biden administration turns to face the unthinkable. Let's get caught up. And it says Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the federal government will have to renege on some of its payments if Congress doesn't raise the debt limit and soon. So there's going to be distributions of payments that go out to people. They're going to get stopped. Though any plan on how the department would proceed with the unthinkable has yet to be presented to U.S. President Joe Biden. So if we go into a default, who is going to get cut? What is going to happen? How are they going to deal with this? They do not have a plan yet. And if Congress fails to do that, it really impairs our credit rating. We have to default on some obligations, whether it's treasuries or payments to Social Security recipients. Janet Yellen said on Friday, today, in an interview with Bloomberg Television. So the unthinkable, they might have to renege on payments to Social Security recipients or treasuries payments. They do not know yet what they're going to do. They don't have a plan. But if we default, they're going to have to figure out who is going to have to wait for their payout. She said this Friday, today, in an interview with Bloomberg Television, that's something America hasn't done since 1789, and we shouldn't start now. The U.S. Treasury said Friday, today, that it had just $88 billion of extraordinary measures left to help keep the government's bills paid as of May 10th. So that was the update information that they released today, and the records were from May 10th. That's down from about 110 billion just a week ago. And that means about a quarter of what was $333 billion in unauthorized measures is all that is left. So they are running short on these funds. They have got to do something soon. And I know that There's a lot of people on my channel that collect Social Security and they want updates. They want to know about the reform that we've heard that's going to be coming. They want to know about the enhancements of $200 per month that we had heard promised by the Biden administration and that we had seen proposed in a bill by Bernie Sanders with the Social Security Expansion Act of 2023. And now at this present time, this is being taken into consideration for one of the provisions that might get cut, as if we go into a default, they're going to have to decide who is going to be the ones that are going to get disrupted. And I've let you guys know here on the channel several times, we keep hearing about Social Security. So we will see. I will keep you guys up to date. But again, nobody knows the impact, the full impact of what's going to take place, how much delays might be, how much potential cuts or stops will have to be, how long it'll take them to get caught back up if this happens. We just know that this will not be good if it unfolds. So I will keep you guys up to date on that. And again, I know that it's not what people want to hear. And just to clarify, I see people asking about what about SSI, people asking about disability. This includes all of them from the Social Security Administration, any distributions from the SSA. That includes retirement, SSI, SSDI. They're saying there could be potential stops. Now, they're working, trying to do everything they can. Today is the 12th. We're hearing the X date could hit as early as June 1st. So we're going to be seeing. Now, I will keep you guys up to date. I am still hopeful that they're going to come to some sort of an agreement. Now, as you guys know, they had their first meeting, I believe it was on Wednesday, if I remember correctly, or maybe it was Tuesday. Tuesday or Wednesday, sometime this week, they had their first meeting to try to see if they could come to some sort of an agreement. And what we heard was it was unfruitful. There was no agreement that was able to be found on increasing the debt ceiling because, as you guys know, right now, Republicans, they want to increase the debt ceiling along with spending cuts. They said, President Joe Biden and Democrats, you guys have spent way too much money. You're out of control on a spending spree, and that is why inflation is so high. Your economic policies are just insane, and we need to reel you in. They said, now that we have control of the House, we're going to reel you in, and we are not going to agree to some of the things that you want unless you bring the spending back. So they're saying spending cuts and debt ceiling need to pass together. The Biden administration is saying, no, don't put that on us. Right now, we need to increase the debt ceiling or we're looking at a potential U.S. default. And they're saying just pass the debt increase and then we'll talk about spending cuts. And Republicans are saying no. Kevin McCarthy is saying no chance. And now we're hearing that it looks like President Joe Biden might be open to spending cuts in an effort to save America from defaulting. Now, in addition to that, here is an update as to where things currently stand with the meeting. Now, this article is also linked in the description below. This one just came out, it looks like yesterday, late yesterday evening. And it says that Biden-McCarthy debt ceiling meeting has been postponed. Spending cuts, though, are now on the table. It says a debt limit meeting between U.S. President Joe Biden and top lawmakers that had been scheduled for Friday has been postponed. So they were supposed to meet again today. And the leaders agreed to meet early next week. So there's going to be another meeting early next week. A White House spokesperson said on Thursday, yesterday evening, aides from both sides have started to discuss ways to limit spending as talks on raising the government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling to avoid a catastrophic default creeps forward. People familiar with the discussions have reported. Now, staff will continue working, and all the principals agreed to meet early next week, a spokesperson said. Now, the aides to Biden, Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, Democratic Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, top Senate Republican Mitch McConnell, and top House Democrat Hakeem Jeffries, they all met Wednesday and Thursday to discuss raising the debt ceiling, the White House said earlier. Now, McCarthy told reporters at the Capitol that the delay was not a sign of trouble in the talks, but that he believed that the staff negotiators who had been meeting this week needed to continue talking before the principals meet again. I don't think that there's enough progress for the leaders to get back together, he said. He also said one of the congressional members wasn't able to make it to the Friday meeting also for another reason as to why they're thinking about postponing it. White House officials acknowledged that they must accept some spending cuts. Wow. So there you have it, you guys. The Biden administration is beginning to fold in an effort to stop a potential default. They are saying we will add spending cuts to the debt ceiling increase or strict caps on future spending if they are to strike a deal. Two sources now are saying spending cuts are going to be on the way so we can avoid a U.S. default. while insisting they must preserve Biden's signature climate legislation that passed along party lines last year. Now, House Republicans' bill to suspend the borrowing limit passed in April. It would cut government spending to 2022 levels, cap its future growth below inflation, and repeal incentives for renewable energy, electric vehicles, and other climate-friendly technology passed in the Biden legislation. Now, the two sides are also debating how long to push out to the next potential debt ceiling showdown, sources have said. Now, Biden and Democrats, they would prefer a 2-year window, pushing the legislative action beyond the 2024 presidential elections. And that is a huge thing right now, hanging over President Joe Biden's head. We're hearing that his approval is extremely low. And in addition to that, if we have a default, that is going to be devastating for his presidency. And so this is why I had mentioned in the last live that I felt like if somebody was going to be giving, it was probably going to be President Joe Biden. But they may have to accept larger spending cuts or stricter caps to get more time, sources have said. Now, spending levels is key. Republican Representative Daniel Webster said before the talks were scheduled, spending cuts is a place where we are stuck. Not with all of them, but with a list of them. Not necessarily in any order, just that we want some. Now, Biden's fiscal 2024 budget request relies on tax incentives to reduce deficits while proposing to increase discretionary spending by 5% next year. That represents a more than $200 billion difference with House Republicans, however, who want to cut agency budgets on average by 8% while increasing defense and veteran spending, meaning that the programs would face steeper cuts. Now, the fact that spending cuts and caps are under discussion, that could be a sign of progress in the talks where Democrats have long pushed for an unconditional lifting of the debt ceiling, while Republicans have demanded a slew of policy changes in addition to sharp spending cuts. Now, the White House portrayed the postponement as a positive development, with meetings progressing. So the White House is saying, we're making progress because we are now willing to cut. We're saying that we're getting on board. So we're making progress towards us not going into a default. Now, the U.S. federal government could run out of money to not be able to pay its bills as soon as June 1st. As I mentioned to you guys, they're calling this the X date, the date when we will default. We've already hit the debt ceiling, but now when is it going to be due and we're unable to pay? They're estimating it's June 1st. The Treasury has said, unless the debt ceiling is raised. Biden is set to leave the country next week to attend a G7 meeting in Japan. And there are just a few days left when he and House and Senate leaders, they're going to be able to meet before the deadline, before he leaves town. So, man, that is the latest update coming out, you guys. They're saying that Biden, that they are trying to think of a plan. In the previous article, I let you know, for the unthinkable, potential default, where they might have to make cuts, and then they're going to have to decide who's going to get disrupted. And as you heard, Social Security Administration is one of the things they're taking into consideration. They have to weigh who are the people that are going to get hit, how much are they going to get hit, then who else do we get hit with? We have to shift things around, but they're hoping that they don't have to go that route and try to take into consideration the unthinkable of who is going to get hurt out of this. They're hoping that they're going to be able to stop a potential default before we get to that point. But they said at this current time, they don't have a plan for that. They don't have a plan for what happens if they default. So they're saying now they're starting to prepare for the unthinkable. But we will see. Again, I had mentioned 4 potential outcomes. First, Biden administration gives and adds spending cuts along with the debt ceiling increase. Number 2, the Republicans, they give and say, let's increase the debt ceiling. We'll do spending cuts later, which I said I felt was very unlikely. The third option, neither of them come to an agreement and we fall into a default. And then the fourth option, neither of them come to an agreement. And then President Joe Biden steps in and invokes the 14th Amendment, which there has been a lot of talk about. And then we see what happens with that, because some people are still saying that wouldn't even resolve the issue. We would still have some pretty devastating economic outcomes with him doing that as well. They're saying it might not even, it'll be a last-ditch effort, but it might not be enough. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, you guys. I see we've got about 570, almost 600 people on. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, smash the like button. If you appreciate the updates, these breaking news updates, I know a lot of it is not what we want to hear. What we would like to hear is that the debt ceiling has been increased. They've done the spending cuts that they need necessary. They've come together. They're going to reuse the current stimulus funds from previous packages of $400 billion to send out Social Security checks of over $5,000, which I mentioned before that if they did that, they could give $5,000 for that $400 billion to every single Social Security recipient right now. Or they could take it, they could give out $2,000 checks to Social Security individuals, and then they could give out $2,000 checks to everybody else as well. There's enough money to go out for quite a bit. Now, one of the proposals for the spending cuts is rescinding that money and taking it back so that way we can use that to offset some of the spending that's been taking place. In addition to that, they want to take back some of the money that they wanted to use for the IRS that they said was for the 87,000 auditors, also the student loan debt forgiveness, and I can't remember what else. There was a couple of different items, and I believe that those were the ones that they were saying that they wanted to take back in some of these cuts. But we will see, you guys. I will keep you up to date. Now, again, today's the 12th, so that means we probably got about 18 days left. And how many days are in June again? 30 days, has September, April, June, 30 days. So we've got 18 days left, essentially a little bit over two and a half weeks for them to figure it out. Let me know your thoughts. Now, let me take a look at the comments because we are live. So one of the benefits is I'm able to see your guys' responses and answer any questions. So if you got any, now is the time. Drop them into the comments, and I will do my best to answer them live for you guys. Let's see here. Millennial Wealth says that we've got weak leadership that leads to a country that will collapse. Penny says he sold us folks out. Kevin Lee says that he is nervous. You know what, Kevin? I don't think that you are alone. I think that we're all a little bit concerned that it has gotten to this place. Let's see here. Too bad to hear that, Steve, says Marty. They have to stop giving help to other people around the world, but Americans, we do need it. Yes. Yeah. We need to help our country out as well. Margie says, I have prayed every day on this. Thank you for your prayers, Margie. I know that our leadership needs it. Devin Carroll YouTube channel says that he can't cut us off Social Security. I don't know who that is, Dolacina, but I do know that we're seeing articles on this. White House Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is saying it, and this article just came out on it. So you can check it out. It's linked in the description below. And it is from Bloomberg. So this just came out today from Bloomberg, and it came out from White House Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. So Janet Yellen today, the Treasury Secretary from the White House, said, and here's the quote, if Congress fails to do that, increase the debt ceiling, it really impairs our credit rating. We have to default on some obligations, whether it's treasuries or payments to Social Security recipients, Yellen said today, Friday, in an interview with Bloomberg Television. So I'm not sure where that other channel, Dulicina, got their information or what they were talking about. Maybe they misunderstood. I'm not sure, but I'm just, like I said, I'm just sharing with you what came out. They said from the White House, and they said that. And the article says they're preparing for the unthinkable, and that is having to make cuts or not being able to pay out to certain different obligations they have. And one of the ones that was mentioned was Social Security. So, I hope that other person that said that is maybe accurate, because that would be great. But according to this article, I'm just letting you guys know what is being reported. And again, it's linked in the description below. It's not me saying it. It is Bloomberg News reporting on what Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen literally said today. So I wonder, too, if that other channel that you're talking about, when they reported that, maybe they didn't have this information that came out today. And again, it's linked in the description below, so you guys can check it out. I try to read them live for you guys, so that way you can see and know that it is the latest coming out. She needs to cut her check then, says Bruce. Yeah, you know what? Why doesn't Congress take a cut instead of all the people in the nation having to take a cut? Why don't they do their job? That would be nice. Sometimes it gets frustrating. Just reading this stuff, it's hard to believe that they are just not getting stuff done when they're elected officials that are supposed to be helping out the American people, and they don't do their job. It just gets frustrating sometimes. It feels like, why do the American people have to suffer because you guys are not doing your jobs? And yet they're living it up in Congress. It's just a shame. It really is sometimes. I'm sure that all the politicians will not go without any pay. Yeah, I hear you, David. If they choose that road, I'm not paying Social Security. I think that will be the end of the Biden presidency, says Greg. Greg, I would not disagree with you. Right now, the way things are going for Biden in the polls is not looking good. And like I said, that is why when I was just saying, honestly, if I thought somebody was going to give in these negotiations, it would likely be Biden because, in my opinion, he has got more to lose. He will likely lose the presidential election if we have a default. This is going to sting a lot of people and really, really bad. This will be devastating for him. He does not want there to be a default. That is why I was thinking that if somebody was going to give, it was likely going to be him. And if he didn't give, then he would probably try to do that 14th Amendment. But he's probably giving because there's reports coming out that if he does that, invoking the 14th Amendment, that it is likely not going to have the results that he wants. It's not going to save us. The only way for them to save us is Congress. And we actually heard Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen say this as well. The only way that we're going to be saved is if Congress intervenes. They have got to do something. So I don't know. We will see. S. Hill says that we need Trump back like now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you guys think that we would be in this situation if we had Trump, or do you think that he would avoid all this? Let me know your thoughts. They can't touch your Social Security. We paid into that, says Penny Shook. I know, it's a shame, Penny. People have been paying into Social Security their entire lives, and now that it's time for them to draw, there's not enough money. And we're drawing a shortfall. It's insane. I've gone over the records here on my channel. I've gone over the numbers that have come out from the CBO, the Social Security Administration, the reports. We're running a massive deficit in Social Security. It is insane, the amount of money that we are shortfalling on. It's about $50 billion, if I remember correctly, a year. It's a lot, and they're saying it's just getting worse. If we have to default, it'd be nice knowing you all. Laughing out loud says accidental prepper. I was here. Thought you're. Oh, I lost it. What is somebody saying there? Oh, they're starting to move. And here, I always thought that you were a liberal, Steve. Somebody said, I never. One of the things I try not to do is share my political opinions. I try not to because we have both here. We have liberals and Democrats, and we have conservatives, and we have Republicans. And so I just try to do my best to report the news to you guys. What's funny is that I get people mad at me all the time. It's hilarious. I've had people come on here and go on my Instagram and yell at me and say, like, oh, you're like a Republican. Oh, you're a Democrat in the same day. So I think I'm doing a good job of just reporting the news. So I don't really share my perspectives on stuff. I just try to do my best to share the latest information. I hope people appreciate that. I try not to bash. Sometimes it's hard because both sides are pretty dumb sometimes. I'm just being honest. I don't mean to be rude. Hi there, Steve. I apologize. I was just accidentally deleting my comments. You know, it's bad to hear that they need to stop sending help to other countries. Yes, totally agree. Anybody but Trump, says Angie. We had a strong economy with President Trump and a respected country, says Patty. They need to be physically removed from the government, says Marx. I am apolitical, says Greg. Okay. Greg, just being honest, I've got my opinions. I have got my opinions, but I tried to just share stuff with you guys. So that way you can know the latest, exactly what's going on. But I am not apolitical. I've got my opinions for sure. And a lot of the stuff that they do, I don't like it, but I try not to speak out too much negativity. I just try to report it to you guys. Also, too, I mean, there's just so much that is going on. And it's just, sometimes it just gets you down. And I think that you guys don't need that. I'm just going to report it to you guys, and I'm going to make sure that I can do my best to give you information you need, and if good stuff comes out, to report it as well. And that's why, too, like any stimulus checks or any of those things, states, cities, and counties, I've got www.reliefroadmap.com, so that way it can help you guys out if it can. Pamela says they can't touch Social Security. You know what? I hope they can't. I hope they can, but it seems like it's kind of up in the air. And today, literally today, this article's from today, from things that were said today, where they're saying Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is talking about disruptions to Social Security. We will see. Hopefully, we don't have to find out. Hopefully, they can get this figured out. That would be great. I honestly can't believe that we're even this close. What about other agencies that would be affected immediately by the theoretical default? Would the military stop getting paid? Federal employees, Medicare, just asking, says Greg. Greg, yes, it's my understanding that all of these potentially are going to get hit, and then they're going to have to decide who's going to get hit, when they're going to get hit, and by how much they're going to get hit. That's what the article said that we just read on this, is that they are preparing for the unthinkable, and that is who is going to get hurt and when and by how much. It's just kind of like, if you got a shortfall in your spending, it's like, okay, now we got to cut back on groceries. Now we got to cut back on, I don't know, gas funds. We can't drive as much. We got to turn the lights off, or we got to turn, which ones are going to be the ones to go. That's kind of like what they're saying that they're going to have to decide. Possible disruptions for SSA, SSI, and SSDI, says Janet. Yep, that's what they're talking about. That is what they are talking about, Janet. Other countries are laughing at us, says LR. Bill B, not everyone is not working, getting welfare these days. Isn't there some kind of law that Social Security must be sent out whether it's delayed or not, says Accidental Prepper. I want to say that there is something like that but that's why it's so hard, is because it is my understanding as well that there is supposed to be some sort of protection for it. But right now, it just seems like it's all a mess, because the thing is that nobody understands the full impact of what I guess they're saying is going to be hitting. Like, they don't know how they're going to have to adjust and figure out who's going to get hit. Also, too, Social Security itself is in a lot of trouble as well. It won't be too much longer until we are hit the solvency issue with Social Security. So, I'm not sure. I don't, and I think, like, there's been a lot of reports on this that nobody actually knows the full extent of what's going to happen. We're going to see, I guess. I hope we don't. I hope they resolve this before it gets to that point. They've got about 2.5 weeks for us to try to figure something out. What he needs to do right now, if he is a good president, which I haven't seen that, he needs to do right now and stop leaving it to Congress. Democrats are, because they're dummies, says Thomas. Thomas, yeah, I think you're referring to the 14th Amendment. That is one of the things that they said, but there's reports coming out that even if he does that, it might not be enough. It might not take care of the problem, and we still might have issues. I'm not sure. Dolcina says, see the items that I sent on Instagram. Okay, Dolcina, I don't think that I've gotten stuff from you. If you send me stuff, it's at Instagram at SteveRam3. All one word, Steve, STEVE, Ram, RAM, and 3. Make sure to not get it mixed up, because there is a ton of scammers on Instagram too trying to pose as me. I report them all the time. So I've only got one account. It's Steve Ram 3. So make sure you're sending them to the right place. Remember, I'll never ask you to contact me on WhatsApp. I don't have a WhatsApp number. And I'm not asking you to send me money for like Alibaba thing or like a crypto thing. That is not me. Okay. Let me see if there's Social Security payments should be kept in person's own Social Security account if they pay into it. Yeah, here's the thing with that, Timothy Hawkins. The problem is they said that on average, the amount that you pour into Social Security in your lifetime and the amount that you take out, like the majority of the time, you get multiple amounts more than you put into it. And so right now, the problem is we actually have massive amounts of people pulling out from it, and it's coming out way more and faster than is going in at this moment. And the shortfall actually for what is going in and what is going out is about 500 or 50 billion. It's either 50 billion or 500 billion. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's $50 billion a year. It is short. It's pretty massive. And they said with what we have left, Social Security pretty soon, they said probably within the next 10 years is going to have a solvency issue, which means that they're not going to be able to pay out full benefits to anybody receiving it. Retirement, SSI, SSDI. If you collect $1,000 per month, they're saying on average, the cuts are going to be probably around 20 to 25%. So you'll only get a check of $750 or $800 if you were getting $1,000 before. And when you say, hey, like, what happened? I didn't get my full check. They're simply going to say, sorry, we have a solvency issue. We're doing it to everybody across the board. And everyone's going to get cut if they don't resolve this. And yeah, it's looking that way. I've reviewed the numbers, and I'm just being honest. It doesn't look good. And so far, some of the proposals that we've seen, in my opinion, they don't address the issue. I'm like, it's a numbers thing, right? I'm not a member of Congress. I'm sitting here looking at the numbers that are being presented by the CBO and by the Social Security Administration myself, and I'm like, this does not add up, you guys. Some of these bills that they're proposing make no sense for fixing the solvency issue. They have got to do some more drastic shifts and changes. And in my opinion, the thing that they need to do, this is it, they need to probably do some more tax cuts or taxes. That's probably going to be it. Like, if I'm being honest, like, I don't know how else they're going to get enough money to do it. And this is being proposed is the taxes. They're going to have to do more taxes, higher amounts, and they're probably going to have to increase the cutoff. So right now, I think the cutoff, any income that you make up to $162,000, if I remember correctly, you pay into Social Security tax. They're probably going to have to up that. I think before it was $140,000. Now it's $162,000. They're probably going to have to take it up even higher, and they're probably going to have to go up significantly higher. And then they're also proposing anybody that makes $400 billion or $400,000 a year or more, then they're going to hit you with Social Security taxes and at a higher rate as well. So I think I can't remember what the rate is that you have to get hit for to pay into Social Security taxes for your income. If anybody remembers off the top of your head, let me know. Drop it into the comments. But they're talking about increasing that amount so that way they can get more as well. I think that's probably the way that they're going to have to go, is they're going to have to increase taxes to try to save Social Security, because so far a lot of the proposals that I've seen, honestly, like I don't feel like they fully address the issue. Let me see. Not one person will comment back on what I'm saying. It says, Mark's no relief. Mark's, what are you saying? People Biden loving people did this. People Biden loving people did this. Biden loving. Oh, okay. So you're saying that it's Biden's fault. You know, I don't think there's a lot of people that would disagree with you, Marks. I think right now his approval is pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Janet says this is a recession leading very close to a bad depression. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that. They're saying, why are we even talking recession? We're probably talking depression here. Let me see. Rosalina says that we need Trump back now. With the last year left for Biden, they need to get him out and get someone that can do the job, says Richard. You know what's funny, Richard? We're hearing that Democrats are saying that too. They're saying there's Democrats in Congress are not supporting him either. So we will see. Rhonda says Trump 2023. So she's saying not even next year. Let's get Trump in now, she's saying. Penny says yes, impeach him. Daryl says it's both sides' faults. Yeah, you know what? I wish that there was some way that the two could come together and help out the people that need it. But you guys, I will keep you guys up to date. Again, all of these articles, they're saying Biden is starting to prepare for the unthinkable, and that is potential default and where cuts are going to have to take place. Those articles are linked in the description below. Do me a favor, smash the like button if you haven't already. It just takes a second. It helps me out a ton if you appreciate the content. Thank you so much. Subscribe to stay up to date. Turn on the notification bell. And also, you guys, if you want to become a member, you can join, and I will give you guys more access information. Make sure I answer questions. We're going to be doing lives with you guys specifically. My hope is to figure out how to get a program where I can actually bring you on and see your face, so I can talk to you like virtually face to face. And also, you guys, comprehensive list of all the stimulus checks across the nation at www.reliefroadmap.com. If you are interested for states, cities, and counties, I've got a list of over 100 different ones. I hope it's a blessing to you. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Hope you guys have a blessed Friday evening, and I will catch you in the next video. I'll try to get some more up this weekend because I was out of town this week in Dallas. I was recording some stuff for some new products I'm going to be launching, and we've got a lot of stuff going on with the real estate business. So thankful. God has been blessing a lot of the works that I've got going on. But I've been busy, so I need to make it up to you guys. I had people messaging me saying, where's the updates? So I'm going to make sure that I get on top of the news for you guys, so that way you know what's going on, especially right now, because there is just so much, and I want to make sure you guys have the information that you need. So with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for joining me. Take care. God bless. I'll catch you in the next video. This is Steve.